Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Rebecca and I'm a Muslim convert of over 10 years. I also have bipolar disorder for the past 7 to 8 years, which means I move from periods of low mood, where I don't feel very good, I have low energy and this sort of thing, to periods of high mood, where I have too much energy, I can't concentrate and I'm really irritable. So in this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I pray when I'm in a low mood, which can be difficult. It's very much based on my own personal experience, but I was kind of hopeful that my own personal experience would be relatable for others and kind of help them. So yeah, let's get into it. So to start off this video, I think it's important to to define what depression is and then go into why it might make it difficult to pray. So depression is a mental health condition where you feel emotionally in pain and emotionally drained. For me, I have absolutely no energy or motivation when I'm depressed. So I really struggle to cook. I don't really cook. Cleaning is really difficult. I don't really enjoy anything, so I'll stop seeing my friends, I'll stop getting out of bed, I'll stop leaving the house. I sleep most of the day. I try and keep on top of things, but honestly, it's like cycling a bike through mud. Like it's just really hard. I'm also crying a lot, so it makes it really hard to go out because I'll just be crying, and it's just, yeah, it's kind of a really hard thing. I think it's really misunderstood as well, and you can get a lot of judgments from people for being depressed. Like when you say, "Oh, I'm struggling to do this, I'm struggling to do that," there'll be a lot of people who will say, "Oh, you're just lazy," but you're not lazy. Like you generally have a mental health condition, and depression just causes these things. Like it causes you to just have no motivation, to feel bad about yourself. I think that's one thing that people don't realize is when people are depressed, they already feel like crap about themselves. They don't need you telling you though that they're lazy and this sort of thing. Anyway, linking this to prayer, I think there's a few reasons prayer is difficult when you're depressed. I think there's kind of this notion among some Muslims that when you're close to Allah, when you're praying, when this sort of thing, you're not going to feel depressed. And if you've got like a mental health condition like bipolar, that's not necessarily going to be true. You're still going to feel depressed and be praying. So basically, when I was feeling depressed, I used to feel like Allah doesn't love me or, I'm far from Allah. And it used to make me difficult to pray and kind of develop that relationship with Allah because I just had all these things in my head like, oh, why am I depressed? God doesn't love me, this sort of thing, when that's not true. Um, and sometimes when I'm depressed, like this is going to sound a bit odd because sometimes you can feel more connected to Allah when you're depressed, but sometimes when you're depressed, you kind of feel in such a low state that you don't feel like that religious high as much. And because you don't feel at that religious high as much because, your emotions are kind of fogging that religious high, it can kind of be really hard to motivate yourself to pray because you think, Allah doesn't love me, this sort of thing. But you just need to remember that, Allah, He tests us in different ways and He makes people go through ups and downs in Iman to test us. So it's not always going to be that you feel this emotional high. You've just got to think, like, who am I worshiping? Am I worshiping the religious high? Like, because Allah can give the religious high and He can take it away. So you just need to think, what am I worshiping? Am I worshiping Allah or am I worshiping a religious high? So I actually went to talk this and they said even if you're in like a low iman state, like you're not feeling that religious high that you normally do, you should just keep praying because you're worshipping God at the end of the day, and you don't always get to do what you want to do when you're worshipping God. You don't always want to wear hijab every day. You don't always want to pray 5 times a day. It's about really sort of taking away from your own desires and just worshipping Allah. Then the second reason I think can be really hard to pray when you're depressed is just finding the energy and motivation to do it. So when I'm depressed, I can't concentrate, I can't study, I struggle to get out of bed, like I can't do the basic things. So, the idea of getting up and praying is like the idea of getting up and having to make a big meal. Like it's just so difficult. But I think one thing to remember in that state is like use your energy on prayer. Like imagine when you're depressed, you only have a certain amount of energy, but you can use that energy for prayer. So just think, I'm going to prioritize my prayer. I'm going to do my prayer. And if you're not praying at all and then you do one prayer, like that's progress. Like just think you're making progress. So no matter how you feel, like how bad you feel, just try and do your prayer. At least try and make progress in doing your prayers. And inshallah, Allah will make it easy for you. Even though it's hard, just remember that Allah is testing you, and that just try and pray even if you're feeling like really bad and you have no motivation or anything. Just try and keep going. If you're not praying, don't say like, oh, I'm a bad person, Allah will never love me, this sort of thing. Just think, I'm working to be better, I'm prayed once. Honestly, if you're depressed and you prayed like a few times, just be so proud of yourself that you are praying and you are depressed, because it is such a difficult thing. And I think in society there's not acknowledgement of how difficult it is, but I acknowledge how difficult it is. And honestly, if you do like your prayers and you are depressed, like you should be so proud of yourself. I originally wasn't going to say this, so it's not like part of my list, but I think one thing as well is just make dua to Allah. Like, make dua to Allah that He makes it easy for you to pray and this sort of thing. Like, it is really hard, but if you keep asking Allah, please make it easy for me, please make it easy for me, please make it easy for me, then inshallah, even though you're depressed and it's difficult, Allah might bring a bit more ease with it. So, I think that's another thing you can do as well is just try and, get Allah to help you. Like, ask for Allah's help. Say, I'm really struggling to do this. Please help me. Like, please help me to be a better Muslim. Please help me to pray, this sort of thing. Then another reason I think it can be difficult to pray when you're depressed, which is the opposite of not feeling Allah's connection, is feeling Allah's connection too much. So, when praying, it's too emotional, it's too overwhelming, like you're just crying and it just feels like completely overwhelming and you can't do it because you just haven't got the energy to deal with all those emotions of Allah's connection. It's just so intense that it's really hard to deal with when you're depressed. You just don't have the energy for it. One thing I'd say here is remember, Allah will not test you beyond what you can bear. Like, although it might be really emotionally draining, like, still try and do your prayers, even if it really tires you out, even this and that, like, just try and keep going. It is hard. And again, may Allah make it easy for you. But I'd say just keep going, even if it's emotionally draining, even if you're crying the whole time, even if this and that, like, just try and keep going. It is really hard to pray with you're depressed, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you just have no motivation, you've got all these thoughts in your head that Allah doesn't love you, which is kind of part of the depression, to be honest. Which people don't realize that depression makes you really have a lot of self-loathing thoughts. It's not just you're lazy, it's that you actually have like a lot of like a medical condition. But one thing I'd say, if you can pull yourself out of bed just to pray, like just do it. Like, honestly, it'll help your self-esteem, it'll help your religion, it'll help all these things. Like, although it's hard, think this is Allah testing me, like I just need to keep going. Another point to say in praying with depression is to pray a lot of the time. You can pray when you're depressed, although it's really hard. But, fixing your depression will actually help you to pray. So, seeking help from a doctor, seeking help from therapy, reading books about depression, trying, about how to fix depression will actually help you to pray. So I think it's not just, oh, it's like this thing about tie your camel, like do stuff to help yourself get better. Like, don't just be like, oh, look, cure my depression. Like, actually make steps to cure your depression, start medication if you need to. Now, I'm not advocating to medication for everyone, but I'm saying like if it's really bad and you literally can't do anything, like think about speaking to your doctor, maybe getting some medication, maybe having some therapy, this sort of thing. Um, I know it helped me to get my depression fixed, having all this medication and therapy and things like that. I still go through low mood and sometimes I still get depression, but it's not like as long lasting. It has definitely helped me to pray, consistently, getting that help from the doctor. And if you don't need medication or this sort of thing, then, exercise, healthy eating, this sort of thing, it will help to curb that depression. One thing I've done is because I've been depressed lately, is I was really struggling to cook. So what I did is I got a load of like semi-healthy foods, just from the supermarket that were kind of ready made, not ready made, but like quick to make. So I got like pastas and like, and pre-made sauces and soups, like healthy soups, like 3 of your 5 a day soups and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's all I really want to say on the topic. Like, it's not that Allah doesn't love you, that you're not feeling this religious high. Just keep going, keep praying. If it is too intense, think Allah will not test you beyond what you can bear. Like, if you're unmotivated, just try and put your energy into prayer. Like, really try. And if you ask Allah for help, inshallah, He'll make it easy for you. Or He might keep testing you, but just keep going. Like, remember, life is a test and this sort of thing. So yeah, I hope this video was remotely helpful to someone. Um, I've not really got anything else to say other than what I've already said. So, yeah, I hope it was helpful and I hope to see you around my channel soon.